is one of our My Weird School Days books. It's from the series. This is the first one. And in this book, to catch you guys up where we have a group of second graders, and it is about to be um, summer break. Summer break is about to start. And Mrs. Doyle is one of the kids, Ryan's moms. And she has just won the PTA election, and now she is the president. And she has decided that they need to do a big graduation thing and that they needed to bring in presents for their teacher. Their teacher's name is Mrs. Daisy. And they all brought bonbons in for Mrs. Daisy. And as we left off on Monday, the kids had started to notice that Mrs. Daisy was spending a lot of time in the back of the classroom knitting. And they also thought that she might be eating too many bonbons because they thought she might be getting a little fat. Not that we say that to people, do we? But anyway, they thought that she might be getting a little fat, and they were wondering what was going on. They weren't real sure, but they were wondering what was going on and why suddenly things were changing. So that's where we are as we pick up here. We are picking up on chapter 6, The Greatest Day of My Life. Now, if you missed a few of the other chapters and you want to go back and listen to those recordings, you can, so that you can catch up to where we are. All right, here we go. Chapter 6, The Greatest Day of My Life. Finally, it was my favorite day of the school year, the last day of school. Yay! After we finished pledging allegiance, Mrs. Daisy had us sing happy birthday. It wasn't because it was anybody's birthday. We sang happy birthday to the kids in our class who had birthdays over the summer. Give me a thumbs up if any of you guys have birthdays over the summer. Give me a thumbs up. I see some of those thumbs. So here's our picture from this chapter. Like me, the kid that's telling us our story, he had a birthday over the summer. It's not totally fair that my birthday's in the summer. That means my mom can't bring in cupcakes for the class. Bummer. The summer. We didn't learn anything all day. Mrs. Daisy had us clean out the junk from our desks. I found a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the back that had been there for months. Ooh. There was green stuff on it. I offered Ryan a quarter if he would take a bite out of the sandwich, but he wouldn't. Then we had our posters and all the artwork on the walls so we could bring them home. The artwork, that is, we didn't bring home the walls. That would just be weird. Mrs. Doyle came in and passed out our yearbooks that had pictures of everybody in the whole school. We spent the morning signing each other's yearbooks. I wrote a little note in each, like, see you in third grade, or summer rules. Andrea asked me if she could sign my yearbook. I didn't want her to, but Mrs. Doyle was watching, so I let Andrea sign it. 1:00, then 3 minutes after 1:00, the clock moves really slowly when you watch it. For a while, it looked like the hands were moving backwards. Me and the guys threw a crumpled up paper at girls, but Mrs. Daisy told us to knock it off. After a million hundred hours, it was 2:00. It isn't the word o'clock weird? What's up with that? Me and the guys counted down the hours, minutes, the seconds. Every second took a minute. Every minute took an hour. Every hour took a week. It was the longest day in the history of the world. I thought it would never end. But finally, the little hand was on the 3 and the big hand was on the 12. You know what that means? 3:00. The bell rang. We went to hug Mrs. Daisy, then we bolted for the door. We're free! We all went to hug. Me and the guys ran out the front doors like prisoners escaping from jail. Everybody was yelling and shouting, no more pencils, no more books, no more teachers, no dirty looks. It was the greatest day of my life. Look at them running. Except for one thing. But I'm not going to tell you what that was. Okay, I'll tell you. But you have to read the next chapter first. So, na 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 boo boo to you. All right, so here we go, reading chapter 7. This one is called There is a Square on My Head. Are you guys ready for a square on my head? All right, guys, go ahead and stop putting stuff in the chat box because it pops up and it's distracting. people. We'll get a chance to chat at the end. Chapter 7. Why There's a Squirrel on My Head. There was only one bad thing about the last day of school. You had to come back for dinner graduation, for after dinner for graduation. Bummer in the summer. My mom made me wear a tie. What's up with that? Why do boys have to wear things around their neck? Whoever thought it was a good idea to get an should get a no brain award? That's an award they give out to people who don't have brains. My dad helped me with my tie when my mom combed my hair. You look awesome, my mom gushed. She always got all sniffy in a way girls do. I expect you to be on your best behavior tonight, AJ, Dad warned. Nothing must go wrong. I'm sure your moms and dads never say that to you when they're taking you out in public, do they? Don't even, I don't even do anything wrong yet. Already I was getting bummed. What could possibly go wrong? It was just graduation. All right, so here's the scene we're fixing to head into in graduation. We drove to school. Dad parked the car and we walked to the playground. Mrs. Doyle and Andrea's mom were standing at the gate greeting everyone. As soon as we got inside the playground, I knew this was not going to be a normal graduation. There was a big stage set up with lights and a long banner that said, "Congratulations, graduates." Balloons all over the place, and behind the stage was something really weird, a petting zoo with goats and chickens and cows and bales of hay. Is this really all necessary? My mom asked Mrs. Doyle. With all due respect, what does a petting zoo have to do with graduating? It represents the diversity of life on our fragile planet, Mrs. Doyle replied. As they grow up, children need to respect their animal friends. I didn't know what she was talking about, but it was cool to see goats and chickens and cows in the playground. Andrea's mom rolled her eyes. She does that a lot. Teachers were sitting on the front row. I waved hello to Mrs. Hannah and Mr. Docker and Mrs. Rupee and Miss Small and Miss Coco and all the others. Some of them were already sniffling and blowing their noses in tissues. Mrs. Doyle told the parents to sit down and the kids go to the gym. When I got there, the guys had on ties just like me. The girls had on party dresses. We had to put on our paper caps we made and the gowns too. I didn't want to wear my dumb gown. Gowns were for girls. Nobody else was putting one on. Everybody else was putting one on, so I guess it was okay. Where did your mom get all these farm animals? I asked Ryan. You can rent anything, Ryan said. I guess she went to rent a farm animal. After a million hours. Oh, I forgot to show you the picture of the kids talking. After a million hundred hours, Mr. Long started playing the graduation song on the accordion. Took us Mrs. Doyle told us it was time to march out to the playground. I am graduating. There's a square on my head. It was windy outside, so I had to hold on to my cap so it wouldn't blow away. As we marched on the playground, our parents started clapping and taking pictures. It was like we were movie stars. I sat between Michael and Ryan. I hope my mom doesn't go overboard, Ryan whispered. I didn't want to think what would happen because there weren't any boats around. Mrs. Doyle started to walk on stage, and there was a big bowl in front of her. It was about the size of a garbage can cover, and it was on a stand. Welcome, parents, teachers, and students, Mrs. Doyle announced. Let's begin the ceremony by lighting the eternal flame. She took a lighter out of her pocket and lit something in the bowl in front of her. Flames shot up into the air. The flame represents the eternal quest for knowledge that will forever burn within you, Mrs. Doyle told us. See the picture of her lighting the eternal flame of knowledge? I didn't know what she was talking about, but the fire was pretty cool. Maybe we would make toast marshmallows later. After she lit the eternal flame, Mrs. Doyle gave a speech. I don't remember much of it, but I think she told us to look both ways before putting on sunscreen and to always wear a bike helmet if we were running with scissors. Third grade can be crazy, Mrs. Doyle said, but remember how frightened you were your first day of kindergarten. My little baby Ryan was so scared to go to school he peed in his pants. I remember it like yesterday. You peed in your pants yesterday? I asked Ryan. He was hiding under his chair again. Man, that's what I would do if my mom told hundreds of strangers I peed in my pants yesterday. After Mrs. Doyle's speech, we thought we would get our diplomas, but no. The marching band came out of the gym and played a song about the YMCA. Then a big cake was wheeled out in front of the stage. All right, I love cake, but we didn't get to eat yet. We had to sit and listen to more talking. Mrs. Doyle grabbed the microphone again. Being PTA president is a big responsibility, she said. Being president, anything is a big responsibility. That's why I am excited to introduce our very special speaker. He is also president. Please welcome former president of the United States, Mr. Bill Clinton. Chapter 8. Blah, 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 blah. Wow, President of the United States was going to talk to us? Double wow. Everybody clapped. The guy with white hair came out of the gym and went over to the microphone. I whispered to Ryan, how did your mom get President Clinton to come to our graduation? Here's the picture. I guess she went to Rhythm President, he said. Everybody finished clapping and President Clinton started to speak. I didn't catch a word he said, but it went something like this. Blah 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 blah. This is so boring. Blah 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 blah. Is he almost done? Blah 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 blah. He can't go on much longer. Blah 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 blah. I think he's almost finished. Blah 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 blah. Man, this guy sure could talk. President Clinton went on for about 1,100,000 hours. Everybody clapped really loud at the end because we were so glad he was finished. I figured we were going to get our diplomas and eat cake next, but we didn't. Mrs. Doyle got back on stage and stood next to Clinton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce another surprise guest. Please direct your attention overhead. We looked up. I didn't see anything. Then I saw it. There was a helicopter coming, hovering there, just coming right down on each other. I held onto my cap so it wouldn't blow away. The helicopter landed at the other end of the playground. It was cool. Nothing happened for a few minutes. Here's the helicopter. Then this really weird purple smoke started out from underneath the stage. Sound of drums pounded in the speakers. Laser beams beamed all over the place. Suddenly, two guys jumped out of the helicopter and ran on stage and started dancing around. They were wearing football caps and baseball jerseys. Then another guy hopped out of his helicopter and ran on stage. He had a baseball cap on too, and he was wearing a big purple cape with sequins all over it. It was Mr. Hyde, our old music teacher. All right, guys, we are going to stop there. You all did great sitting through 3 chapters. We are going to pick up on Friday with Mrs. Doyle Goes Overboard, chapter 9. So that's where we will pick up on Friday. So you guys